Sponsored in part by DollarSeed.com for your flowers, vegetables, and herbs. All organic seeds, all only $1 a pack. DollarSeed.com. And by WillowSpringsSoap.com. Handmade soaps with simple, recognizable ingredients, making soaps using the cold kettle process while using traditional methods. WillowSpringsSoap.com.
ManureTea.com, authentic Haven brand, 100% natural soil conditioner for the home garden, all your vegetables, herbs, and flowers. ManureTea.com, always free shipping.
Welcome to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Extra. I'm Joy Baird. Well, we're outside. It's a little cool, but we're going to go ahead and get some crops in the ground that we can get away with because they're kind of cool weather crops. We're going to start with some potatoes here in the front yard small garden. Now, if you've priced seed potatoes at your local home and garden center, they can be pretty astronomically expensive. So what we've done is we've saved a portion of our crop from last year to this year, and we've done that for the last several years. And they're organic potatoes, and they work very well. The red potatoes, we're going to plant a row of those, and we're going to plant a row of Yukon Golds. Now the red potatoes, the story on those is about 3 years ago they started to sprout inside because we bought them at the grocery store. So we've been recycling that harvest or that purchase for many years now. And we plant them and they work great. So there's a couple different methods of planting the potatoes. You can do what we're going to do, which is the trench method. You could plant them in a bucket, in a bag, in a compost pile, in a recycled polypropylene bag. Very versatile root crop. So we've got the trench dug here, and all you really want to make sure is if you're doing the trench method is just make sure that bottom portion of that trench is very loose and it's not, concrete. And you can add organic matter in there if you so choose to. Now certain people won't even dig a trench, they'll simply just basically drill holes in a very loose and loomy tilled up garden and place the potatoes down. So it's totally your choice. So we're going to do this row here with red potatoes, and we're going to make a secondary row with Yukons. Now you could take and go ahead and cut these and portion these off, but we're just going to go ahead and place them right in the ground. If you do go the route of cutting the potato with eyes, you want to do that about 2 or 3 days prior to planting so you can get a cure, so you can get a healed or a scab over, so it's less likely for insects to eat it while it's in the ground trying to germinate. So we're just going to really just put them right in the ground. I'm going to go about every 8 to 10 inches there and plant it. So all I'm going to do now is just cover it over, and then we'll dig another row for the Yukons, and we want to space these approximately 16 to 20 inches apart. I'm maybe squeezing them a little tighter than what I should because of the limited amount of space we have in the front yard garden here. So we're going to get our other trench dug here. Now the proper time to plant potatoes is about approximately 2 weeks before your last frost date in your area. Now we're going to push it a little bit here because I think we're going to be safer this year, and it's just simply a guess. But if you do plant them too early and you get green growth on top and it becomes a freeze or a frost of light proportions, the green foliage will die away, but it will regrow itself again from underneath the soil. But it's really going to hurt the productivity and the production of your potatoes. So if you want really good potatoes, you want to wait until 2 weeks prior to your last frost date. So if it does frost, the potatoes won't emerge out of the soil and they won't get damaged. So I've got my Yukon Golds here. I'm going to do the same thing to make sure the base of it is nice and loose. I'm going to go about 8 to 10 inches here. We'll cover them up, mark the row, and then as these potatoes emerge, we'll heal them up to get more potato growth under the soil. So let me get this done, and then we'll head to the other end of the garden and start planting some kale because it's a cool weather crop too. So we're on the low end of the garden, of the small garden. We're going to plant some kale down here. It's going to do really well. Kale is a very cool weather crop. It can get heads on it or leafy greens on it. We've had them up to 17 to 20 inches in diameter. Now we're cleaning out the small end here before we work the soil. And these are some broccoli, cauliflower, something like that roots. Now one thing, if you haven't got your crops already in the ground that you've used them expandable peat pots for, remove the netting because as you can see here, they do not break down and they actually inhibit the production of the root growth. You can see how the roots have done all it could to push through. So always remove those before you plant those crops you got the peat, expandable peat pots in. So it's very simple with the kale. We're going to just go ahead and dig the hole, tip them out of the cups we've got, and because it's going to be somewhat cooler and for the protection of the plant, we're going to put, this is just half of a soda bottle, and we're just going to nestle that down around it. Now, for those who have asked questions about how do you keep these things from blowing away on our previous straight to the point segment, you can simply, let me get this one extract out of its cup. Let's dig the hole. You can simply take it, nestle the item that you're protecting, and really push it down in there, and really you can pack it in fairly tight, and it's going to take quite a bit of force for that particular bottle to blow away. So that, hopefully that will help for those who had questions regarding the keeping the bottle on top of the plant to protect it, and also add a little greenhouse to it. So we're going to get these all planted so we can have some good kale. It's becoming more and more popular, so if you haven't planted kale, look at some of the health benefits that kale can provide and the enjoyment it is to grow. This is a Jerusalem artichoke. It's related to the potato, cousin to the sunflower. It is a very, it's a tuber. It will grow like a potato, but it's less starchy, very good for diabetics, and has a high level of fiber in it. It can be very invasive, and a food that is invasive is not necessarily a bad thing. But if you go about planting it, you want to remove all of the tubers before the following year, otherwise it can spread very, very rapidly. So here in the small garden, we're going to plant it in a container, and we're going to nestle that container in the ground for two reasons. One, so for whatever reason it doesn't get knocked over, and two, possibly to hold a little bit more moisture in it than if we would just set it above the ground. And at the large garden, we're going to put them directly in the ground, but here we're going to put them in a container so we can control them. It is said that a single tuber can produce 8 to 10 pounds of tubers at the end of the season. If you're familiar with John Coulter and growingyourgreens.com, he grows a lot of these in containers, and they're very productive, and he has stalks that can grow 6 to 15 feet tall. They produce a very nice flower during their blooming cycle. So we're going to go ahead and plant them. Now, I've got some compost here, and I've got some regular soil, and all I've done was taken a container, dug a hole to where it's going to fit relatively level, made sure we had good drainage. So I'm going to put a level, I'm going to put about 2 inches of soil in that container. Then I'm going to put the artichoke in there, the tuber. Okay. Now with these, much like a potato, you can cut them, but you want to, as soon as you cut them, you want to plant them. With the potatoes like we planted earlier, you can cut them but let them scab over. These you don't want to let scab over, you're just going ahead and cut them. But with this small tuber, I've got one eye coming out there, and then I've got another one there, and another one there. So I'm just going to plant this whole thing in the ground here, and we want to nestle it down in there. And this will come back year after year if you don't harvest them. So, you know, it's a good crop to have. And once you've purchased the tubers, you never have to buy any more again. So I've got that down in there. I'm going to press it down fairly good. I'm going to finish filling the top of the container. And then I'm going to fill in around the pot, add a little more insulation. So if you've never grown Jerusalem artichokes, I encourage you to at least take a look at them, because they can be a very, very good nutritional crop to grow. And it's fun, and they're beautiful whenever the flowers are blooming. If you like what you see, feel free to subscribe and comment. We put out a video each and every Tuesday. I'm Joy Barrett, and this has been a Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Extra. For more information, you can find us on our website at thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.